big
All
like
right.
promotion.
All right. How are you feeling anyways? You're jumping in for the guest co-host spot. You ready?
Yes, sir. I am.
We're rolling.
We're rolling now.
We're rolling.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Rolling.
Connor, thanks for coming on.
problem.
I guess I'll start, like, you're on tour at the moment. You think it's with Pa Sheehy, isn't it? How's
Yeah,
that been
yeah.
going for you?
It's been good, man. Yeah, it's been really good. It's been intense. Like I haven't played this much in the last year now. It's been kind of like a lot of songwriting, and then all of a sudden we're doing tour.
Yeah.
It's been good, but it's been like a month and a half of just this is it. This is everything I've been doing. And there's only tomorrow night's last show, so I'm well.
Do you
looking
mind
forward
that
to it.
where, like, you don't have time to focus on anything else during that busy period? Like, would you
100.
prefer to be writing music, or do you like the touring?
I like switching it up 100%. Too much of any one thing, you kind of get sick of.
Yeah.
But 100, the whole last month has been just the blinders on. Like, this is it. Even the rehearsing, like, all I did was rehearse back to back to back to back, get ready for the tour, practice, like, okay, chats in between. That was a run up. And then when you're on tour, it's just, you're just in the zone. All you do is tour, train to one place, sound check, do the gig,
Yeah.
next place, check into wherever you're staying, sound check. And you're just in I think it's easier once you get into the role of it. You forget, like, how many tickets are being sold or what's happening. Before, like, the anxiety of the first show is like, oh, what will go wrong? What's this and that? But once you're in the role, it's like, okay, sound checks at this time, do the show. And it's easier to keep doing more shows when you're in the role.
Yeah, it makes sense. What is the process of, let's say you have a gig tonight, don't you?
Yeah.
So what would that process be like? What time do you arrive for sound check? What time do you play? What time do you finish up?
It always depends on the venue. Like, the tour manager tells you what time your sound check is. Like tonight I'm not on stage till 9, which is late for a support act to be on stage. Like, we're all just hanging around anyway, because once we've done the sound check, we're just backstage. Like, we were there last night and sound check was done at 5, and like I wasn't on till like 8:30, so we're all just sitting backstage like,
yeah,
I'm losing energy quick here, like. But yeah, it's just you get your time check for sound check, and then after that you do sound check. You do your stage time.
It's coming to an end now, though, isn't it? How many how many shows have you done in this tour?
Altogether on the actual tour for Pa, it's only been like 12, 14 shows like that.
All right.
We did UK and Ireland.
Yeah. Okay. You're telling me earlier that your voice is pretty much gone now. What point did that kind of hit, let's say?
Well, it's not that it's gone, but it's definitely on the cusp of being gone. I don't know, just a few shows ago, I kind of I did a gig fine, but then I kind of got excited and I was like roaring after the gig because everyone was outside, and like it was like a rowdy night. It was like a Saturday night, so I was like just chatting away, but obviously roaring. And then the next day I was like, shit, my voice is
it's not ideal. Probably make you a bit more nervous too when you don't know how it's gonna hold up.
This is it. So like all up until that point I was fine. Then that day I woke up, I was like, oh, my voice isn't there. So the whole day then the anxiety of, is it going to be okay tonight? Because the only way to solve it is to like not use it.
Right.
So I couldn't even test where my voice was. All I had to do all day was like, okay, don't use your voice, don't talk.
Yeah.
And then got to sound check and did a little warm up. And
is there anything else you can do to like try and make it recover faster? Is just have to like give it a rest?
I've just been tanning like ginger and lemon teas and everything that online says, like 2 liters of water, ginger lemon tea, I don't know, steam, anything you can do. I was doing just to get it back.
That's funny. So you're from Kerry originally, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you've been in London for the last few years. What was like the initial reason for moving over to London, and how are you enjoying it? Like,
yeah, like I love London. My bank account doesn't.
Right.
I always say that, like, it's a great place for music. Like, I don't think I could have done music in Ireland. Like, all the good songwriters I know from Ireland are in London, or like artists I know from Ireland, they're over in London. So I guess it kind of was a necessity rather than I always had my sights on living in London.
What do you get in London from the songwriting perspective that you don't get in Ireland?
I guess the scene. The scene's there. I'd love if there was more of a scene here.
Like the scene I guess people, and I guess the opportunity for gigs and stuff like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, just everything, man. The amount of studios over there. Like, it's now starting to come to Ireland. There's a bit of a scene. Like, there's a writing scene I hear that's happening here. And there's more and more. There's like camps that are starting to kick off in Ireland. But like when I first went to London, that wasn't the case at all. Yeah, in London, there's so many studios, so many songwriters that you can get quality writing sessions consistently.
Mm.
And just the music scenes there. There's so much more labels and venues that it just makes more sense to go there.
Yeah. When you moved over initially, did you have a plan? Like, did you know anyone over there, or was it kind of tough in the beginning?
Yeah, no, I knew nobody. Like I was there. It was between randomly there or Germany. I remember because I was weirdly going to sign with a German publisher
Okay.
at the start. It was a weird one. I was going to Berlin a lot to meet with BMG because I thought I was going to sign with them. And then I just released a song. So there was a London management that got onto me. So I was like, oh, either follow the management
Yeah.
and go in London, or I'll follow the publisher and go to
Okay.
Berlin. And I equally knew nobody in both places. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a bit of a flip of a coin, but I chose London.
And like manager versus publisher, like if you sign with the publisher, would
Yeah.
they kind of act as your management as well, or no?
They can do. Yeah, they can to a certain extent, depending on the publisher.
Yeah.
But like I had a management and then I left them, and for the period where I didn't have a management, I kind of lent on my publisher. Like they sorted out sessions. They kind of were the liaison between me and someone else, because you don't want to be the person, I don't know, fighting to get paid, or just, oh, what time do I show up today? It's just easier for someone else to talk on your behalf. So yeah, my publisher stepped in when I didn't have a manager. But that's not always their role, and I don't think every publisher would do that. Mine was sound enough to.
For those who don't know, like what's the typical role of a publisher?
That's a good question. Like publishers collect your publishing royalties.
Okay.
So like every song you write, if you wrote a song, you get a percentage of that publishing. That's what publishing royalties is. It's kind of like your songwriting.
Yeah.
And a publisher collects your royalties for you.
And is that like, people know of streams obviously, but like how else would they distribute your music? What are some of the common ways?
So publishing comes from a lot of stuff. Like publishing also is like sync. So if you wrote a song, like if I wrote a song, it was played live, I get publishing royalties. If I wrote a song that's on radio, I get royalties. If it's in an advert, if it's in a movie, I get royalties for that on my publishing, and my publisher will collect on my behalf.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll also get you stuff. So publishers have sync teams, so they'll be like push for their roster to be like, he's got this great song, there's a sad John Lewis ad, let's push our artist to try get the song. That's the big one. But like movies, indie stuff, these days apps, if your song gets in any of them, like it's a good payday, and your publisher will do that.
Yeah, I know our co-host Troy, he's a producer as well. He does a good bit of sync. What's your view on like sync in general? Is it very competitive? Is it tough compared to other avenues?
Yeah, like sync is one I haven't done too much in. Like my publisher is trying now to get more in it, but I mean that's where the money is. I'd love to be in sync more.
Okay.
I've kind of always been in the songwriter side, because sync is very much producer heavy.
Your name isn't really behind it though, is it? Like if your song is in a commercial, whatever, you're not getting the credit for that, are you? You're getting paid, but are you getting the awareness? Like
sometimes if it's one of those rare ones where like it is a song you've released, say one of my songs is out and they use it on an ad, the ad will lean on using the song. They won't push it other than maybe Shazam if someone wants to check it out. But a lot of times sync is more like just production or instrumental. So in that way, there's a lot more producers in the sync game than songwriters.
Okay.
Sadly, because I've heard like big paydays come out from sync deals. Yeah, it's crazy. Just adverts. I've had producer mates get adverts. And
is it usually a set fee, or is there any deals where you get a percentage of maybe revenue they make from like?
Usually it's just the flat buyout.
Fee.
Here's what it is, and this is, we get to use the song for however many years.
Yeah.
Like I've heard some crazy stuff. I got a brief in one time for like a Kerry Gold butter ad.
Mad.
And it's like 65 grand to whoever gets the thing, and I'm like, holy
And is there like a kind of
I was like like my manager's like, oh, do you want to do a Kerry Gold butter thing? I'm like it's a pitch, so a load of people are going for it. I'm like, I'm not doing a butter ad, like I'm not. And then I looked at the brief, I was like, lads, I'm doing the butter ad. Yeah, send it over right now. Jesus.
Oh, that's so gas. How did you get on? Did you get it?
No, didn't get it, and I tried my heart out.
That would be a nice payday though.
Oh man, yeah.
I suppose like relative to Ireland, I know the cost of living here isn't great, but as in it's very well known that London is particularly expensive.
Yeah.
So I suppose, do you have a job outside of what you do, or how do you manage, I suppose, like maintaining a balance financially in such an expensive place?
Yeah, I mean, like there's so many side hustles. Like I feel like so many like songwriters, people in music in general, it's so hard to just fully do it. I feel I know so many people that have, and they're all creative side hustles, but you have to have a side hustle. Luckily, when you sign a publishing deal, it does give you a bit more stability, because they're like, here's enough money to live off, so you can just fully songwrite. So when I first signed, that did give me a bit of stability. But I mean, there's so many. I do a lot of like vocal paid stuff that is like dance music. I write a lot of dance music. They can use my voice, just not my name, and like that pays nice for like a vocal fee. Just to use my vocal, here's an upfront fee.
Yeah,
that's I do a lot of them, higher and lower level. Like there's some gigs I've done where it's like, this is the worst.
Yeah, but it's a pay. Yeah. I know you've a big dance music track yourself. Is that what's it called?
Oh, the last one I put my name on was What We Know.
Yeah, that's class. Steve. Are there any other like songs that, let's say, you did vocals for people that we might know of? Any other dance music tracks?
Oh, there's a good few. Like at this point now, like there's so many that come out a year, and my mates are always like sending me like videos and like Zara, or they're on holidays, and it's like, is this you? And I'm like I've just like put so many vocals out of dance songs. There's one or two big ones coming out this year, and I don't want to say it, because then if it doesn't happen, that's the one thing in music. You just tell everybody something's happening, and it doesn't happen. I'm like,
it's pretty soul destroying then when there's a bit of destructive interference and it doesn't go the way you want.
And everyone's like, what's happening with that something tune? I'm like, yeah. And I
did
say that out loud, didn't I?
If it does pop off one of the songs and you're not credited on it, how do you feel about that? I mean, that's what you agreed to. You know, you got the fee or whatever, but do you kind of regret it then?
It's just more for the name. Like I still get the same royalty. So like if I put a dance song on, I'm still getting the exact same.
Oh right, okay.
Publishing percentage. Maybe they might give you a bit of a master cut if you put your name on it, just to be like, look, you're helping to sell the song with your name, so we'll give you a bit more master. But the fee is, and maybe the fee might be a little bit more, but usually you get the same percentage.
Yeah.
It's usually more, you're sickened if it pops off and it's like, oh, my name could have been on it to spread awareness for my brand and maybe my music. But yeah, that would be more.
Yeah, okay. I always wonder that, because I look at like, let's say different now, but I look at like Drake, for example, and all of his songs pretty much is just Drake listed on it. But then you go to the credits and there's like 20 people. But obviously he has the resources to just pay them all their fee, and then they're not being kind of listed on the song, let's say. Whereas other artists, you'll have 5 or 6 listed on the song.
Man, that's the thing as well. Like I still don't understand sometimes. Like me and one other person, like there's songs me and the producer wrote it on the day. And by the time it gets out, it's gone through so many people. It's like, there's like 7 people, there's 8 people on this track. I don't know who these people are. They weren't in the room when we wrote the song. The song right now sounds the exact same as the day we wrote it, but
mad.
I feel like these days everyone tries to get in. A manager might put his name as he gets a cut of the publishing. I don't know why. It's rare, but managers do it in dance anyway. And even sometimes I found it with dance, if you get a cut and people have tried a version, like so they try to get a big name to do the vocal, and then they're like, actually didn't work out, but that name then gets the credits. Like we changed some of the melody, so we get cut, and then they give another person a go. So before you know it, people that didn't even end up on the song get a cut of the song.
That's really interesting.
Because I've had mates that have been like in songs where, I don't know, gets 100 million streams, and because of whatever, they end up getting like 3% of the song.
Yeah,
and they're the full right. Like them and 2 other people wrote the song. It's crazy. Yeah.
Jesus, I didn't know that now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then like when you went over to London, I think it was like 2020, I read that you signed with a management company called like Sound Collective.
Yeah.
How have they like kind of developed you as an artist over in London?
So they were my old management.
Okay.
But they were the first management I signed with, them and Renee Renner. So like I did like a joint management thing with like Will from Sound Collective and Renee from LME. And yeah, I guess like I said earlier, like I didn't have any links in London. So they really were the first grounds on people to be like, okay, we'll get him in the room with this person or that. They already had a load of links. So I guess they kind of just tossed me into the writing scene. And all of a sudden in London, I'm just in circulation in these producing rooms.
Yeah.
And just building a name all of a sudden. Like, because it is a scene. And London's like it's an amazing scene for like that. And it is massive. But you quickly do hear about people and you do build a name quickly. Even though it's a massive scene, you do start to hear the same names fairly quickly.
When you say like tossed you into them rooms, like does that, like financially wise, are you paying for that, or are they kind of providing that to you and then in return they maybe get a kind of payback down the line?
Yeah, no, I don't pay for the rooms. that I just meant toss me in terms of I hadn't really wrote much.
Right.
And I was like, I wrote so much on my own before I moved to London. That was just my way, because it was in Ireland and there wasn't people to write with. So I got so used to writing on my own, and all of a sudden then you go into these rooms with people you've never met, and it's kind of like the speed dating.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Conor Byrne. Hi, what do you like? What's going on in your life? I don't know. Let's sit down and write a song. 3 strangers. And then in 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, that's the song done. You might never meet those people again.
Yeah.
And then the next day you're doing completely the same thing with more new people. So I found that so alien to write like that. But now I've done this for so long, recently enough, I sat down and was like, I'll write something myself. I'm like, without someone to bounce up, is this good? Or like just the flow of collaboration. Then I'm like, now I'm slowing down to write on my own. So it's what you're used to. But you don't pay for the rooms yourself. That is, sometimes the producer has, like, it's their studio, so you go into the producer and sometimes they are paying a rent on it. And the producer usually does get a bigger fee because they are kind of like, it's their room you're using.
Right.
But also
it's like someone's table in a nightclub.
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised when you come up to the studio. It's like some days you go in and it's like this massive, in the middle of London, massive live room, and then there's other days it's some guy's bedroom. And you never know what the studio is going to be.
So you said like you found it alien. Like what in particular was tough about being surrounded by a group of people while you're writing? Was there like more pressure, or how was that?
Just kind of finding your confidence in your ideas, you know. I kind of like, you don't want to, you're self-filtering in your head, like, I don't think this is good, so I'm not going to say out loud.
Okay.
Before nobody, you don't know it's good until you sing something out or try something, like, that's class what you just did there. But at the start, I was self-doubting everything I did, and then just overly being like, oh, that's great, just to get the thing, because I'm like, I'm so nervous, let's just get this song done quick. And I don't truly think that's the best idea, but I'm like, yeah, let's get this done. Oh, that's class. And I don't think it's class. I just think I don't have a better idea. Yeah. And you just kind of got, like, over the time, your confidence in being bad, I guess. You just have to throw everything, even the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how you get a good song, by really picking at everything, really emptying out every stupid idea, because one thing could be genius. So yeah, at the start, I found that so hard.
That makes sense. And like, I know I've heard of some people who kind of just record as soon as they get into the studio and like anything. Do you do that as well?
No, I write with people like that just riff on the mic and ad lib. I can do it when I write on my own, but that's still when I like, I can do it in a room. Like, people are always like, Conor, do that. And the minute I go on the mic, I'm like, what did I just do? And I'm just so rigid, stop singing right now. But in the room I can sing, but I'm not one of those freestylers on the mic.
Do you have a go-to ad-lib?
I do. I have the same kind of riffs and stuff. That's why I like writing with other people, because now I hate them. I have the same stuff I fall into. And even when I'm like freestyling on the mic, I know I'm doing my classic bits. I'm like, because I don't know what to do. So
is that not your signature though? Do you not think that there's authenticity in that too?
Maybe if it's for my project and stuff, but for dance stuff, I feel like I've done this already. Like, I feel like this isn't as cool. And then you get someone that actually can riff. I'm like, oh, that's unbelievable. That's what we should do.
Yeah.
So what fulfills you in those projects? Do you know, as in, like, it can be it's a very different experience, as you're saying, to your own creative process individually. Yeah. So how do you get fulfillment out of all of those projects when you're not so sure of yourself?
Like the dance music, or just
anything really? I suppose those projects that are run with other people that you don't know. Do you know, where's the fulfillment in that for your own signature, your own essence?
I feel like it comes down to the song then at the end of the day. Like, I love coming out, like, it is a good test when you come away from that day and the vibe was right and everyone was in a good energy. We're like, that was a good song. And like, you didn't just accept mediocrity. We did fight for that to be better, and the way we were all comfortable, we kept getting better. And it's like, I think we can better that lyric or that melody. And then you leave the room and you're like proud of the song. Like, this is unreal. That's like, I'm happy out. That's job done for the day.
Yeah. That's interesting. Like, keep improving it and like, don't be complacent. But then, like, how do you know when a song is finished? Because it's also easy to go overboard and keep adding stuff, and then it gets worse.
This is the problem with like the session game, is like, it is kind of like on a clock. It is factory lines. Like, we do have a time to be out of here by today.
Right.
You don't always get the blessing of, let's get in another day. And I find when you do that, you never get in another day. So, well, we can do the course another day. It's like, if we don't have it now, we're never doing it another day, because the vibe is here now. So you kind of do work on the clock, and also do want to get the best. I guess it's kind of, the more you do it, the more you know when to be quick and when to actually give time to, like, the chorus, of course, and the melodies are always like straight away, let's riff and get a melody that's sick. If that's not really sick, let's get it better, because if we're going to spend time lyricing it, it's got to be the best melody, because we don't have too much time now. So sometimes people are like, oh, that's good, let's see where it goes. I'm like, no, let's just keep getting it to where we're all like, no, this is a really good melody, and give the time to that.
Right.
So you just kind of learn when to pick and choose where you give your time to.
Okay. And then like in the studio, like I imagine you could be in there for like from morning till evening. Sometimes it's probably long days. Do you find that like your creativity kind of drops off as it gets later on into the session?
Yeah, 100%. For me, especially the evening time, it's like I can feel my mind slowing down. And just in general, you know, like creativity is not, it's so hard to like, you can't just have it on tap.
Yeah. And
there's days like, I'll be like, I look at my calendar, it's like, oh, 4 sessions this week. One team I know, 2 teams I don't, and one is half and half. And on a Monday morning, like you're waking up and it's like, I do not want to write a song today. I have nothing in me. Like it's classic Monday. It's like, I don't really feel like I even want to see people today.
Yeah.
Not mind go in a room with strangers and write a song. But then you just kind of have to, sometimes then you get inspired in the room. Someone will do something with an instrument or I was like, oh, now I'm in it because someone else gave the spark, and that day I wasn't a spark. And other days I will be the spark. I'll come in with an idea and someone else needed someone to bounce off.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was the question?
No, I was just wondering if your kind of creativity drops off, because for me, like,
then in the evenings,
just doing any bit of work, like in the morning, I'd always be like, have the best thoughts or whatever, and then as you get into the evening, you just feel like you're kind of wasting your time.
Yeah, and some people are different. Some producers like evening sessions and they can go all night. It depends on the person. For me, I'm like that. I feel by evening time I'm slowing down. And even like in sessions, if I eat, like I don't even eat much in a session, because after lunchtime then if I eat something heavy, I'm like, okay, that's me gone again. Like I'm not sharp anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've just found ways to be as sharp as possible.
Nice.
And one is a desperate amount of coffee and 0 food.
How many coffees are we on?
Oh man, I'm trying to lower down now, but like some studios, they have coffee machines, so it's just like, another coffee? It's like, yeah, let's get a coffee.
Yeah.
Before you know, it's like you're shaking on the tube home. It's like, I haven't eaten since this morning and I've had about fucking 7
coffee.
coffees.
Is really good.
Yeah. Is it good, or am I just on a bit of a coffee buzz?
That's me like every day.
Yeah, so I'm trying to not have as much coffee, but
from the perspective of like an Irish artist living in London, because I can imagine there's quite a diverse range of, you know, artists. Like it just seems to be a hub for creativity.
Yeah.
From your perspective, living abroad, I suppose, what does Ireland, like there definitely is a scene here, but it's very underdeveloped. What do you think from your perspective would make it more desirable for people to stay?
Oh, that's a good question, because like it's so weird. Like the dichotomy of it is like Ireland is known for music. We're
smashing it in the industry right now, like, all across the board.
Like not even in music, and just the creative arts anyway. It's like we are just, it's in our culture, like music and arts, poetry, film, and yet everyone has to go abroad to make it in their art. But the talent is here.
Yeah,
man, like the talent is here, no doubt about it. It's just, I don't know how to get the industry back here. Is it a bit more funding, a bit more? At the moment, there's not that many studios that are maybe in Dublin. I don't know now. I was going to say that, but I actually don't know. But when I was living here before moving to London, there wasn't many studios.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's I'd love it to be back here. Like everyone's like, do you like London? It's like, there's a time limit on me being in London. I'd love to come back. Yeah. If the industry comes a little bit more to Ireland, I'd love to come back here and do it here. Yeah. Like, because there's so many big Irish artists, even like the more older generation Irish ones that are living there. And like, yeah, I'd love to come back, but I don't think I can.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's not giving me hope.
Yeah.
But hopefully one day, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how to get the industry back here. I hope it does, because I'd love to come back. But
or in terms of transitioning from Ireland to London, what were the biggest changes for you? You know, was it the network? Was it the venues? Was it what was so different about the scene?
I mean, for me, like everything, like it was so intense at the start. Like even just being in London, the noise, the city has so much energy. Like, I don't know, like then coming home was like pure silence.
Yeah.
I'd only known pub gigging. Like I was only playing pubs and just writing at home, and all of a sudden, like you're going to these studios, everything blew me away. even just a studio with a coffee machine. And now I look back, it's like, that wasn't even a good studio. But back in the day, anything impressed me. I was like, oh my God, going to the tube to go to the studio and everything. I feel like the start, I was overwhelmed nearly because it was so much and every day was so much. And I was with people that had been doing it for ages, and you'd hear, oh, you're in the studio today with so-and-so who wrote this massive record. And I'm like, the night before, just staying up, like, I can't be in the room with them because I'm not that good. And over a while, you just get used to it. But yeah, at the start, everything was intense. Yeah.
Yeah. How was your like journey with, it's a bit more deep, but how was your journey with like self-belief been? Because you said there like, oh, I'm not that good. Like, when was that? Like, or has that kind of changed? Have you started to believe in yourself more as you've had more success?
100%. I feel like anything, it's how long you're doing it, your confidence, and it grows.
Yeah.
At the start, when I went into London, I don't know, I guess everyone does this. I grew by presuming everyone else knows more than me. So if my managers are like, I think this, but you guys are saying it, so I'll go with you. You've more knowledge than me. In a room, oh, you wrote that big song, so my ideas are less than yours. I'll go with you. Being with a label, I'll be like, oh, you're a label. You know more than me. I'll go with you. And I guess it takes a while to be in the industry to be like, they didn't know more. I went with those ideas that sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but you have to believe in your own, because you can go with a manager and it'd be wrong. You can go with a label and they do nothing. You can listen to someone's idea in the room and it mightn't be the best for that song, and you could have had a melody that would have been better.
Yeah.
I feel like the longer you do it, the confidence grows and you realize that it's just everyone's kind of on a level.
Yeah.
You know, in the room on that day, the person that wrote the hit doesn't always come in with a hit. They're just normal people and they got that spark that day because the room was right.
That makes sense. You have to let it play out, I guess. You know, their ideas at the start seem like they're right, but then when you wait a few months, you'll actually know if they are, and then that'll give you a better baseline of what's actually right and wrong, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's not even right and wrong. It's confidence to know nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody's right or wrong. For music, the artist, like management and labels should probably listen to the artist a bit more because they know their music more. But in a room, I feel like ego should be left outside. It's the song for the best. And I feel the longer you do it, you have a better grasp of, let's do it for the song. My idea is not better than yours, and it's the song. And I think for this song, that idea was better than this one. And
there's nothing worse than ego.
Oh,
have you had, do you find that's quite common?
I mean, in any industry that's kind of like this, there's ego at every corner.
What's the buzz with that? Like, we're all, you know, it's cliche,
annoying,
but like we're all just people. And I found like, I think that's something that's positive about the Irish scene, the music industry here. I think that people are a little bit more awake to the fact that we're all just flesh and bones. Like, you know, there doesn't need to be that sense of the great I am.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, there's so many humble people as well, and I feel there's so many people I've met, the bigger names I've ever wrote with or been in rooms with, like, oh, these truly are like, these are somebody's, and they're so humble.
That just goes to show, doesn't it?
And then there's one or two, like, there's people that have had one big song or wrote something with someone that has a name, and they act like they're the shit. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like the longer you're in the game, the more the real humble ones last longer, and the ego people, I don't know. There is a time limit on how long you can be like that before you will burn out somehow, because it's a small industry.
Yep.
You burn bridges acting like that, and
Sure.
There's not that many industry bridges you can burn before you're kind of...
That's true. Yeah,
stuck.
That's true. You mentioned like the energy in London. Do you find that, let's say, gives you more energy? Like, do you find yourself waking up earlier because the city is just so active and alive?
I would say almost the opposite. I would say that it's draining, man.
Is it? Yeah, because I didn't know, because myself, you know, everyone thinks like, oh, do I want to stay in Ireland long term? Do I want to move maybe somewhere else? And like one side of things, I think, a city might be kind of cool and motivating because everyone's working so hard and it's so busy. But then at the same time, it might kind of have the effect that you're saying. There's
a bit of both. Like, I mean, like, I love London. Like, now I love London for the pace of living.
Yeah.
Like, for just living, like, social side, there's so much to do. You're always doing something. Then you come back home and it's like, what are we doing today? It's like we're doing nothing. I was like, you forget, oh, we're doing nothing. It's like, we'll watch TV and the dinners at like 5 in the evening. It's like, and there's nothing in between that. That's in London. It's so like, there's never a moment like that. So I love that pace of living, but I also for for like the creativity and the work side, you're drained. Sometimes I'm drained before I get to the studio. You get up, you try to do the gym or something in the morning, and then it could be like an hour and a half to the studio just in tubes. By the time I get to the studio, the tubes alone, I'm like, I have no energy. And now the social battery has to turn on, and I have to try get it somehow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
everyone has a different social battery. Some people can just, like, they're big extroverts and they can just go all day, which is crazy. Lucky them.
I think, yeah, because the social battery and the creative battery are different.
Okay.
But you need them both in the room. And I feel sometimes like just, the journey around London sometimes you're wrecked before you even need to kick either of those into use.
If we go back like a bit more to the start then, probably should have touched on this, but like, how did you get introduced to music originally? Was it in the family or how did that happen?
Yeah, well, like my dad plays guitar. He kind of did music for a while when he was younger. He was in bands, and he kind of, I don't know, I think he kind of stopped when I was born, so I kind of ended his music career. Yeah, I know. So, but he loves me doing music, so now he loves seeing it through what I'm doing. But there was always music in the house. Like Dad was big into that. Like he'd be playing guitar in the evenings and stuff, and I kind of learned guitar from him. And then Mom was more like into theatre, loved like musical theatre, so she was bringing us to theatre from a young age. So we were a very musical family and not a very sporty family.
Right.
I think from a get-go.
What about acting then? Was there ever a thought that you might want to go down that route?
Yeah, I thought like I loved that side more because Mom used to push theatre, and I was like, I loved that. I loved musical theatre when I was young, because Mom was like, Dad wanted me to be more in the music side. Mom wanted the theatre side, so she put me into stage school when I was young. And I thought I could be an actor until, I don't know, the first time I was in stage school and I got a speaking role. I was like, no, I can't do this yet. So that was a harsh acting's a no, music.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. And I guess, like, at what point did you know you wanted to pursue music as a career? What age were you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know. I feel like I was just constantly doing
it
music
for the love
without
of it,
knowing. Knowing did I want to do. Again, like, I didn't think it was a feasible thing when I was younger, like a record deal or any of that stuff. From where I was in like Tralee in Kerry, I'd never heard of anyone in the town going on to do music, so I didn't think it was doable. I was like, oh, pub gigs and all that. So I don't know when I did like covers when I was in school. I guess when I was in secondary school, that's how people knew I was a singer. I never pushed myself as a singer. But then I did like some YouTube covers, and I think that's how the school kind of knew I was.
Yeah.
I could kind of semi-sing.
What year and what age were you when you started kind of like writing consistently, let's say?
So I was right. I mean, like my sister would say I wrote this really embarrassing song when I was 10 on the keyboard, and it's like to this day she references it more than any other song I've ever written. But I didn't properly start writing until maybe YouTube days. I was doing covers around 16. That's the first time I like wrote a song. I was like, it's terrible, but this is a full song.
Yeah. And like, is it a case where, like, if you don't have a good voice, you have no chance? Like, is it an industry where like you have to be born with a really good voice, or can you work on that with lessons?
I think you can, like, to be a singer, to be a songwriter.
Singer.
I don't think it's the biggest thing anymore to be a good singer, which is mental to say that. But in this industry, I see so many people on TikTok that are the most incredible vocalists I've ever heard. Like, this is insane how good they are. And then they're just like, that's not even their main job. They just kind of sing covers. And then you go in and you be in the room with people that are okay singers, but they've got an artistry about them, or they're great all around as a brand, so they make more sense as an artist. And also, like, auto-tune, like a producer can make anyone sound sick these days. So I don't know, is vocals the main thing anymore? Yeah. And you can get better at singing, and I think I wasn't great when I started. I think I thought I was great, and fair play to my friends and family for being like, oh yeah, you can sing. And I listen back now, I'm like, Jesus, they were brilliant liars. So you can get better. But
yeah, that's actually really interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Now I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who'd be happy to hear that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still a very competitive market. I'm not saying, but I'm saying it's singing isn't. You'd be surprised how singing isn't. Like, singing does make an incredible artist. Like, but do you need singing to be in it? No, but singing is still the key thing. Like, what makes you just a good artist to like, oh, you're insane, is the voice. So even though anybody can probably do it if they can semi-sing.
Yeah.
To be good and to be great, the voice is always going to be the thing that stands you out.
Yeah. Did you ever get vocal lessons?
I did when I was younger, but it was all like classical vocal lessons.
Okay.
So I did classical vocal singing just because that's the way we train, and it was like an old school music school I went to. So I was doing like, nothing like I'm doing now. But I guess it helped for technique and breathing and scales and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't done it in a while. I've done, actually then like years later, I did vocal lessons again, but more in my lane, and I enjoyed it more, I guess, because it was, I could practically latch onto what the technique was this time rather than just singing
what about
Italian songs.
What about like instruments then? Do you play the piano or the guitar or anything?
I can play everything averagely. I feel like acoustic guitar, piano, I can play averagely, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I capped at like 16 with how good I was at guitar, or maybe 17. I started at 12. 17, I could play bar chords. I could pick fairly handily. I'm like, all right, I like this level of acoustic guitar. Let's just sit here forever and never improve. And I never got better. Like, I swear to God, like I always just stayed. I was like, this will get me by.
Yeah.
So then 10 years later, I played the exact same. And then piano, I did piano. I was like up to grade, I don't know, 7 or 8. And I was way better back then because I was trying.
It's a lot better than average.
But this is it. I've lost that again. Like, I was good. I was sight reading. I was playing like classical pieces. And then I went back to my old way of, okay, now in sessions, I just need to be able to handily play all the chords, block chords, maybe a bit of melody in the right. But so I degraded. I was like, this is a nice level. I'm handy. And I did the exact same. So I'd say I can play them nicely, but I'm not the best player in the room ever when I'm in the room with someone.
What about yourself, Aaron? Do you play any instruments?
Wide range. I guess I actually relate to that a lot. Guitar is definitely my specialty still.
Yeah.
But like I can play a lot of instruments like all right. I think like once you have like a basic understanding of theory and like how an instrument works, you can cross apply, I suppose, a lot of your musical knowledge, to different instruments. But back to your question earlier, I think that like a lot of it does come from like having that natural musical ability. And I definitely think it's like, in terms of epigenetics, like it is in your blood. If you've got a musical family, you tend to pick those things up quite quickly, or
100%.
you'll just have that kind of creative brain.
Yeah,
100%.
If it's in the family, there's a much higher chance that you're going to do it first of all and then be successful at it. Like
100%, yeah.
But what about college then, Conor? Did you go down that route?
I did. I guess like after the secondary school, I'd done a few, like, so the YouTube days were good. Like the covers did well enough. Then by the end of school, I was like, all right, I'm deleting all of these. These are impossible to listen to because my voice was like changed, obviously. And then I was like, all right, I'll give music a go. So I went to college for the first year and did, I don't even know what the course name was, music technology. Something like that in the IT Tralee. Did the first year and I was like, oh no, this isn't, it was too easy in terms of, I was like, 4 years of this, I feel like I will just be like doing nothing. It's kind of like, it was fun, but I wasn't learning anything. And I was like, okay, I feel bad now. So I was like, maybe I'll do a real college course. So after that year, I passed and moved college. I was like, I'll try something else. I Googled like, what's the best job for like money and stuff, like computer coding, grand. So flipped it completely. It was computer science.
Oh, Jesus,
like completely
IT.
mental, like
mad.
So I was like, oh yeah, I'll go for money because music, I'll park that. I can do that without having to do the college degree. And then I went into like, I'd say I lasted 4 months.
Yeah,
computer science. It was
that's
impossible.
even 4 months is even good because like,
Yeah.
you're probably a bit taken back by what's involved in that. Like,
I really underestimated. I was like, oh yeah, that's grand.
yeah, that's great.
I was like, I'm good. I'm handy at computers. I'll pick it up, man. And I remember the first month
so
was
hard.
like,
It's like the hardest language in the world.
oh my god. And I wasn't even good at languages in school. And it actually is a language, like computer coding. Whatever side of the brain, if you're good at Spanish, if you're good at like different actual learning languages, they tend to be good at computer coding as well. And yeah, I remember the first month, the lecturer was like, all right, this is like the fun month. These aren't going to be real classes. Just having a bit of fun to dip your toes in it. And I'm in the back sweating like, this is supposed to be fun. Like I couldn't even do the first month. Yeah, I knew fairly quickly. So then I skipped out of that. I dropped out after 4 months. And then I got into another college, like, look, I've done 1 year of music technology up in Cork. I went to another, like, it was multimedia and music, did that. And then I at that point then I was in music. I was like, I might as well go all in. And I did my master's in music technology then in the Cork School of Music. So then I did all music. I was like, all in. Yeah. No safety net with something else, no backup plan. Just did music.
Okay. And then as well, I read that you signed like it was a record deal, wasn't it, with Sony Music? Was that in 2020?
Yeah, so it was 2019.
2019. What kind of led up to that? Like, why at that point did Sony get in touch with you?
I mean, it was all around COVID now. That's like those years blurred in.
Was there like a big track that you released prior to that where they seen it and they were like, got in touch?
Yeah, so like I did do one song. I remember I released one song as a Conor Byrne. Like I'd never done like the artist project thing, did some of the dance music stuff. And then I'd signed my management. Or actually I had the song out, I think even before management. And I put the song out on an independent label. And I remember just that time, like it really did good for a first ever song. I remember like the first time we got like loads of new music Fridays, loads of big Spotify playlists that I thought, oh, this is just the way a release always goes. And all of a sudden labels started contacting me just after that one song. Even the management started contacting me. I was like, oh, so that's kind of how it kicked off.
Okay.
But I didn't have any songs to back it up. So I was going in meeting managements and labels, and they were like, so show us some stuff. I'm like, that's all I got, that one song. I don't have it. I didn't know I'd supposed to do more.
And that independent record label then, what did they do for that song? Did they help you get on the playlist? Like, did they promote it for you?
They just, no, like, to be honest, they just did they kind of helped with the production. I got one guy, Ed Holloway, who was like, at the time, had just done like Lewis Capaldi's stuff, Grace and all that. So he was unreal to work with. And then the guys that owned the independent label, Gamper and Dodoni, they kind of finished up the production and then they just put money into like, I guess like marketing it for a bit of a music video. Just enough to like, this song is, it's got a package. We've got a bit of a marketing budget. Let's just submit it to Spotify and see what happens. And Spotify took it from there and it was good.
Did well. What was that called?
Bloodstream was the first song.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, and then after that, after the first round of meeting labels, especially in the UK, they're like, so when I was like, I've no more music, they're like, come back to us when you've music.
Yeah.
Like normally, like I don't know why I went to them with no music. So we wrote more and then waited a while, and then we did it again, that round of any labels that wanted to have a chat, and we sat down and we flew to, so some were in the UK, some were in Germany. Like there's a lot of like my sound, like the singer-songwriter males and females, just that singer-songwriter vibe signed from Germany. Like Passenger signed from Germany initially, Lewis Capaldi initially, James Arthur. There was just that seemed to be a lane to go in. So my management's like, let's look over there. So I ended up signing with Sony RCA Germany was when we signed with. I guess it was we'd more songs. That's why I guess the question was like when or why then. It was because we met a few. They seemed to be the most excited. I was like, all right, let's go with them and see what happens. But it was so maybe it was like the start of 2018 spilled on to 2019. But by the time I signed, it was, again, COVID just happened.
Yeah.
Probably the worst time, categorically, you could sign a record deal was when I signed my first record deal. Because I couldn't do anything. We couldn't do any live shows. I couldn't be in any of my music videos. I remember we were releasing music and they were like, okay, well, we've got this budget for the music video. We've got actors, but you can't be in it. I'm like, okay, fine. So... yeah, and I was like, the music videos were so class. I'm like, I'm just watching these two actors. Like, I loved them. That, to be fair, it's more like of an acting piece than me being in it, a performance piece. But yeah, I couldn't be part of any of the things
with
so
the
I was just at
COVID
home.
restrictions. Is it?
With COVID, yeah. So I'd never met the team after the first time I met them because we were just having Zoom calls. So yeah.
How did you feel at that moment when you got the contract handed to you?
Oh man, I mean, when I first signed, it was some buzz because for me, like I was saying earlier, I didn't know that you could do that. Like, I'd never seen someone in my town do that, and then all of a sudden, I was signed with Sony Music. I was like, it was such a buzz, even though it was over Zoom. Like most of the times, they bring you into the Sony offices or whatever label offices, and they'll wine and dine you to bring me out for like drinks and pop champagne and take pictures. I remember my signing thing was on Zoom on a Monday morning, and we all just had like a glass of Prosecco on either side. I was like, welcome to the team, Conor. I'm like, yeah. Still
Did
a buzz,
you celebrate it though?
You're
Yeah,
muted.
I still celebrated it, yeah. Oh no, it was
Outside of
great.
the Zoom call, like.
Huh?
Outside of the Zoom call.
Yeah, the minute the laptop went down, yeah, the party began. Under restrictions, of course.
You're all right. What were like the terms of that deal then? Was that like for kind of the rights of your songs that you'd already written, or was that for future songs? Like you had kind of clauses in there or obligations?
So we had a few that we knew were going to be some singles, so that they both. So it was like a 5 single deal or a 4 single. I can't remember what it was, but it was singles. It wasn't like an EP or an album deal. It was just like single releases, and it was like the 2 we had, and then other ones you're going to write in the future that we agree on as the singles. Will kind of own. The thing with a label is like they'll give you the money to make it, pay the producers and finish the song and all that, and market it and music video it, anything like that. But then they pretty much own the song until you make them their money back. So they do have a lot of creative control over what you put out, the style of music.
Oh, really? Creative control?
Yeah, I feel like that's when I started. The minute I signed, then like you give the label over the power, and that's one thing I didn't really. I wasn't used to, was how consistent we released was up to them. They're like, oh, we don't feel like the next single is the one. You have to keep writing. So then I kept writing for months and months. I was like, surely it's better consistently.
Okay.
So you just give up power.
Wow.
It's their money.
Wow. So they can just like demand perfection and get you to keep writing until it's like, because it's in their interest, isn't it? They own whatever the next few tracks that you produce.
Yeah.
So they want it to be as best as they can.
Yeah, I mean, like every label is different, but yeah, they do want the song to do well. But for me, I feel like not consistently releasing kills an artist project.
Okay.
And a lot of labels are kind of second guessing we don't think this is the hit, but nobody knows what a hit is, and like you're kind of suffocating an artist project not releasing just because you don't think none of these are the hit. When I think just consistent releases would have been a better call. If you could
do it again, would you consider a more independent route?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I'm like, I just think labels almost now are becoming less and less useful. Like in the modern day, like labels, I don't know what, other than the money, they do nothing. I thought like, when someone with a label, they have like these secret ties to playlists and they can get you on all these playlists. But that independent release I did first did way better on playlists and Spotify than any of my major label releases did.
That's really interesting.
And they had no pull. Like I don't feel like they had any pull. I think less and less now labels have much of a pull, unless you're like an AA signing. But I would definitely go down the independent route more.
So what would you advise, I suppose, for the scene that is here, and there's a lot of aspiring singer-songwriters in Ireland? Would you recommend that they just stick to their guns and remain independent for a while, or would you advise swinging towards more management or publisher, or how would you advise someone that's just kind of getting on the road with it all?
Yeah, I mean, like definitely a manager helps. It's so hard to do it on your own. The manager to be your champion, like pushing through walls, knocking on doors for you, and it looks better to someone doing the knocking for you. So manager 100%, but in terms of like actually label and releasing, it's a hard one because I feel like we're in a time now where labels, like I said, I don't think is going to be, it's hard. Like it's the industry is changing now. We're in a weird middle transition period. I don't know what's next, but I do think labels are almost gone. Indie labels maybe that give you more control, and it's like a shared thing where you still have some of the creative control, but like I'd almost say like you front the money yourself. It's hard because labels give the money and artists are famously poor, so they need the money and give up the control, and then give up. If you could front the bill independently, I think a lot more people are going to start doing this, putting stuff up themselves, putting the money and investing it, and then you've more skin in the game to be like, all right, I need this to do well. I need to make my money back on merch and shows, and then do it that way. Because once it comes in, you own 100% of your stuff, but it's just the initial. I mean, these days to do an album, even you're talking even 40, 50 grand to just do an album minimum.
Wow.
So nobody's got that to do it. So it's hard to just say do it independently, but semi-independent or, I don't think majors are going to be the thing anymore, unless they super change up how they give out deals. But the old traditional deal is almost dead, the way they do it.
Wow. And are you still with Sony?
No, I left Sony. I feel like officially last year now, we did our songs, and we parted ways. Like, I don't think it was in my interest or their interest to continue. Yeah. It just wasn't a good partnership. Do you think, in the end, like,
sorry, go on.
No, in the end, it just wasn't a good partnership. Just for a load of reasons. But the classic thing happened to me. It's like a well heard story in the industry. I've heard it hundreds of times. Like the nightmare. Oh, the guy who signed me left the company, and I heard that so many times. I'm like, because then when the guy who signs you leaves, no one else really champions you as much because they're the ones that wanted to bring you in. And that happened to me. Like the guy who signed me in Sony left. I remember he's like, "I'm sorry, man, I'm leaving the company." And then I was left with no A&R, and the company's like, "Well, we don't have anyone to give you." And then they made my product manager my A&R. And then he did one release that we kind of messed up, and they messed up. Then he left the company. And then the company, Sony's kind of like, "We don't have any more A&Rs to give you." So I'm like, "What? Am I being shelved?" So I've no one looking after me. And that's kind of what happened. I've heard that story by so many other artists. Like the guy who signs you moves to another label, another company.
I suppose that's probably the main problem then, you know, as in that the ethos of a label should remain the same across the board and not just based on the interest of an individual.
Especially because like A&Rs move jobs so quickly. Like even in publishing.
What does A&R stand for?
Artist and repertoire.
Okay.
So an A&R is like kind of your spokesperson and kind of helps you with they're supposed to help develop your career. Artist development doesn't really happen as much anymore. But every single side of the industry that has an A&R, I feel like they just move so much. Like 3-4 months, they'll move to a new company. 3-4 months, move to another company. And it's weird because like you said, like it has to be like the A&R job can only work if you're both locked in together for a long period. It's a role that I've never seen people stay in the one company for long. Like they'll be an A&R in one company, they'll move to an A&R role in another company, which leaves lots of artists swapping A&R, and yeah, I don't know, it's not a great bones of a.
do you have much room to like negotiate with the likes of Sony in terms of the actual terms of the contract, or you kind of just accept it or don't? And if you were to go back, like, would you have pushed more on certain terms?
Well, we definitely did push on some stuff. Like you get a lawyer, and they do go back and forth with their lawyer.
You did that because some people won't. Yeah. They won't hire a lawyer because it's expensive, and they'll just read over it or get their parents to read over it and say grand.
Yeah. See, luckily I had a management at this time that had other artists that had signed record deals. They knew to advise me and what to advise me, and brought a music lawyer in. And yeah, we did kind of push back on terms. We did change it a bit, but for the most part, like it is kind of here is a cookie cutter deal. It's copy and paste from another person. This is our deal. We can change some of the wording and some of the years maybe, but mostly everything is going to be this, and you either want a deal or you don't.
Okay. What song would you say you're most proud of?
Of my own
your own.
Like that I put out, I guess it's the last one. It's a shame that like it didn't like I'm not going to keep saying like Sony messed up, but we did, but let's just say like the release didn't go well because it wasn't given to Spotify until like a week before, and the IPI was mixed up with another release on the label. So my pre-save link, I put out was actually pre-saving another song. I was like, how can Sony make a mistake like this? And yeah, that release didn't do well, but I love Girls on the Internet. It was my last single I put out, and I just think as far as stuff released, I have songs I'm proud of that haven't come out yet. But released songs, Girls on the Internet, I just love. I love the way we wrote it. I love it's one of my favorites to play in the set. Because just sonically, it was the first time I wasn't writing to, like the label was kind of like, do this because this works well on radio, or do this because James Arthur has started to do like hip hop trap drums. And I'm like, but that's James Arthur, and he's done that last week in New Music Friday, which means it's already out of date or everyone's going to copy it.
Okay.
So I was trying to change my songs to what they wanted, and Girls on the Internet was the first one. I was like, I like this sound, this style, this way. That was just the way I wanted it to be, and that's why I love it, because it's like I put it out for me rather than listening to them and then the song being different, and then it's still not doing well. Like a label coming in like, we think it should be this. So then you change the song and now you don't really like it, but you're like, I'll listen to them, I'll put it out. Then it doesn't do what they said it would. I'm like, they're like, oh, it wasn't us. And then you have to live with the song that you just released, and it's not the song version you wanted. And everyone's like, takes that as, oh, this is his song. I'm like, it's not the one I wanted.
What are you thinking going forward then? Are you going to continue making what you like, and are you going to stay independent, or what's your plan?
So the next EP, so I've got like an EP we're releasing next year, and just the whole EP is my sound. It's more like, I guess Girls on the Internet was a perfect like sonic world transition to be like, it's more in that world, a bit more indie pop, a bit more not straight down the middle songwriter stuff, like pop songwriter stuff. The whole songwriting process was different, just going in, writing it because I liked the song. I liked the teams I worked with. I love what we were writing about. They were more real and less just cool topics. So, and we're doing it more independent, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't do...
Is it more enjoyable as well?
Oh, way more enjoyable, man. Yeah, just you've more control and consistency. Yeah, way more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think definitely the regular releases is better, even for your audience, you know.
Consistency now, like we're in a, like, the labels are like actively telling you it's consistency that the algorithm loves, yet they're not giving you consistency with everything you're doing.
Okay.
Like they're not even, like at the moment we're in a moment where everything is consistency. People just want to see you, see content, see music, see live shows, and it's harder to release songs with labels more and more. They're like stalling releases, keeping months and months between releases, and you're like, I can't make consistent content if I'm not doing consistent releases.
Yeah.
So yeah, consistency, I guess, is definitely.
Did you make a song with the script as well?
Yeah, I mean, like that was so cool, man.
That's cool.
That's
very
like,
cool.
As an Irish songwriter, that was definitely a bucket list moment.
Can you walk us through that? How did it come about?
Oh, I mean, like we wrote that song initially for, like, it was either going to be for me or another artist. We just kind of went in and wrote the song, and it was a bit more too pop for what I wanted with EP. And then the other artist was like, well, maybe for me. But then Jimbo Barry heard it. He's like the scripts producer. He's pretty much produced most of the script stuff. And he heard it and he was like, oh, like we're doing the scripts album. Can I show this to Danny and see what he thinks? I'm like, 100%.
Yeah.
Show it to Danny. And I thought nothing of it then. Because like I said earlier, like so many times something happening, like until it's actually happening, I don't think I won't believe it and get excited. Just for my own for my own sake. But then I remember the first time I got the song back and Danny had sang it, and I heard Danny singing the song we wrote, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually real. And then I still was like, yeah, but it might make the album, so that's just a cool moment.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely it's like, yeah, it's on the album, yeah, they love it, yeah. And they gave updated versions of the song, and it came out. It was unreal. That was such a buzz to be a part of that, man. And like to meet Danny then afterwards, and to actually, it was so cool. Like we were saying earlier, like the most humble person of all time. Yeah, he's so sound. Yeah, so humble, man. As an Irish songwriter, like that was class, because I did start at 16 playing The Man Who Can't Be Moved on the guitar, and that's how I kind of started. So it was really cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, I think they're probably the first act that I went to see. I don't know where it was now. Some place in Ireland, but they're class. Script are so good.
It's crazy, man.
But anyways, you also had like a gold record, because like when I land on your Spotify, that's like the first one I seen. You know, Best of Us.
Oh yeah,
it's like a shit ton of streams.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's such a funny one, man.
How many streams do I have now? Like 70 million?
Oh, I don't know, something like that. I remember because like,
I was actually listening to it this morning.
It's the most mental thing.
Is it like a German song?
Yeah, I mean, it's half English, half German. It's a mental one, man.
There's a lot of you on it.
Huh?
There's a lot of you on the track, isn't
There's a load on it. So like when I first signed my publishing deal, they're like, oh, there's like this charity song we're doing. It's during COVID. Loads of other big names on the publishing company are going to do it. Will you do it? And I'm like, well, it's for charity, and I've just signed with the company. I'm not going to be like, no. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And like, yeah, I mean, we all recorded our parts separately. I was supposed to have a part, like a single line in it, and then someone else got it. So I'm only in the chorus. Like I'm not even in that song as a solo bit. It's just in the chorus. But it was for charity, and it was for COVID charity. I find it so weird now because COVID's over, yet that song is still making money. Like, what charity does that go to now? that COVID's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We need the answers.
Yeah.
Where is this money going?
But it's a mad one. Like whenever someone's like, "Oh, I'll check you out on Spotify," and that's the first one to come up, it's like, oh.
I think it would be great if Spotify had an option to pin music, you know,
this is
rather than it being based off of streams alone.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah,
where you could like you could select, you know, your top 5 tracks.
Yeah,
based on your own opinion and not.
Yeah.
What about your monthly listeners? Does that song count for it?
See, this is it. We can actually take my name off that, and we will not take off it. It can go to appears on rather than my main singles.
Okay.
And I feel like when I left the label, I just did like a year and a half of writing for other artists. Like I didn't want to I lost the love for a while for me, but I didn't want to do nothing. So I started writing for other artists, just to keep writing. And I loved falling into the songwriter role and not the artist role. So while I was doing that, we were like, we'll keep that up just to keep monthly listeners. Cause I knew I wanted to go back to the artist project and it just kept the Spotify alive. But when I released EP, that charity single will definitely be moved to appears on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wrapping up the year then, I suppose, and you're coming up to the end of your tour. I know you like to keep your cards close to your chest, but do you have any like major, I suppose, like goals for next year? Is there anything that you'd like to achieve, or festivals or things that you'd like to kind of get involved with?
Yeah, I feel like now, because I've been away from being an artist for so long, the EP next year, it's exciting to kick that back off, because this tour has been a great way to be like, oh, I forgot what it was like to like consistently play live and be back into the artist mode so well. 2025, I really do want to just do the year for the EP, to have a full body of work, play as much live as I can. I've never played a festival, so I would love to play a festival.
Are you saying releasing an EP next year?
Yeah,
that's
releasing
one of your goals. So like the first bit of the year be focused on that, and then the next half would be like the performing live, is it?
Yeah, I mean performing live even while we're like, it's single after like early next year, first single, 8 weeks, second single. We're just building up to releasing it, and then just as well as still writing
like a rainfall release, or
the classic these days. Kind of slowly taper out the releases and then release the EP as a body of work at the end.
And how many tracks are on the EP?
5 at the moment. There's one that's kind of, we don't know whether we put it in or not, but at the moment 5. But I'm buzzing for that, you know, and I'm still writing. The thing is, the beauty is now that we've done the EP, I do love writing for other artists. And there's so many, it's a different kind of feeling writing for someone else. There's less pressure. There's a weight off you in the room, and it's fun again. So I'll definitely still be writing music for other people. But
back to the consistency aspect of it, I suppose if there's 5, potentially 6 tracks in that EP, what's your healthy time frame between releases?
I feel like 8 weeks is a nice enough, like from what I've seen, like mates that are releasing at the moment, 8 is a nice, it gives it its own wave, you know. And if it doesn't, 8 weeks is good, because if it doesn't give the lift you thought the song would get, it's enough time to, let's get in with another one quickly to pick it up. And sometimes if there is a big wave, you can kind of taper off a little bit from 8. You can submit it to Spotify and be like, all right, it's there behind the scenes, and we can just week or 2 off the release. But 8 weeks is a nice little gap between every song.
Yeah. One thing I'm curious about is your 2023 Irish tour.
Oh yeah.
I was just looking at your Instagram and I seen like the MCD logo at the bottom of the post.
Yeah.
So like I'm curious how that works. Like MCD were what, your agent for that tour?
They were the promoter, yeah.
Promoter?
Yeah. I mean, like I was doing support slots, and I just didn't think I was at a level to do my own shows. I never even thought I was going to do a headline show, not a mind, a headline tour.
Okay.
But MCD hit me up and was like, would you do a headline tour? And I'm like, I'd love to, like, if you think I could, if I can. So they said, we could do, I don't know, was it 6-7 shows? We can just organize the venues and set you up with dates. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
And what's that agreement look like? What's the benefit for them? Obviously they have they're obviously owned by Live Nation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they get the benefit of having the events on Ticketmaster, but they also get a cut of your let's say the ticket revenue as well, or? I
think so. Like, to be fair, like, it's so funny in music, man. Like, there's so many people ask me like royalties and stuff. I'm still learning every year. So how does that work? I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm in a studio and someone's like, oh yeah, like they'll mention another aspect, like, oh, my PPL performance royalties. I'm like, what's that? It's like, have you ever got paid that? I was like, I don't even know what that is. You just learn the whole time. Do I know what a promoter does fully? No. Do I know the benefit for MCD? I'm sure there is a benefit. I would imagine ticket sales and stuff, and they do taper depending on how much you're selling, how much they'll put in. Like, will we put a lighting engineer? Will we make the show bigger if more people are selling? Depending on how many tickets you sell, they'll put a bit more into the show. And tickets, I guess, is how they're getting a cut back. But to be honest, that side I don't really know. Yeah. And I love having a manager to do that side for me, because there's a lot of times I don't really want to know.
Yeah. Okay, copy that.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself living long term then? Is it you gonna stick with London or somewhere warmer?
I mean, like, my girlfriend is very adamant we leave London sooner rather than later. For now, I'm happy. Like, the opportunities I'm getting in London is crazy. I like it. Like, I'm still not sick of London. Everyone has their lifespan in London before, like, okay, I'm sick of the place, I want to leave. I'm not near there yet. I feel like my girlfriend's lived there longer than me, so she's very much like, I need to get out, so let's meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
But long term, even if I moved outside London, like, I feel there's a lot of like musicians moving, say Reading or somewhere, like a train journey outside London, more affordable. You can still get into London on a train in like an hour. Like, sometimes people live like, I don't know, say Reading, and it got them to London quicker, and I live in London than me. Like, someone's like in Reading, it's like, yeah, it took me about an hour to get to the studio today. I was like, I'm in London and it took me like an hour and 40.
Wow.
So yeah, sometimes it makes more sense to live outside.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. Like, for the time being, London's definitely.
It's a joint decision, isn't it? When you're with someone.
Yeah, sadly, I'm even less joint. I'd say it's like 30-70. So my London days are dripping.
What about yourself, Aaron? Do you know what's your plan long term? Where do you want to live?
Have you ever thought of going to London?
I have, yeah, definitely. I think like it's like a lot of very iconic, like you know, music clubs are all based in London. A lot of the great clubs started there, and I think that especially like Irish network wise, there's so many Irish DJs living in London, producers, DJs. You know, anybody remotely involved in electronic music, it seems to just draw people in, because it's a, you know, it's quite an interesting like location in Europe where it's close to everything.
Yeah.
So
nice
not only are you accessing the network that is accessible in London, but you're also accessing everything else that's in Europe, and it's just a bit of it's a nice trampoline point, I suppose.
It is.
Yeah.
I would consider it, but again, like, you know, financially, I'm not making enough off of music to justify just getting up and planting myself into the middle of arguably one of the most expensive cities in Europe.
Yeah.
I definitely would see myself kind of heading more towards Germany. Actually, yeah, I'd love to live in Berlin.
Yeah.
Berlin or Barcelona, I think, would be my two happy places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a good scene in Barcelona?
Definitely musically, but even just for myself as a sanctuary, I think that it's a very, very efficient city. The underground system is amazing.
Yeah, the quality of living is nice.
Quality of living is lovely. It's, you know, it's not about, like, I don't do well like in very hot places. Just gets
famously,
super
Irish people.
But I love, you know, somewhere like Barcelona off season. I think that you know, there's just people there are very relaxed. You know, it's very relaxed like way of going about things over there, and that suits me. So either Barcelona or Berlin. But for now, G-Town is
G-Town. Well, I like G-Town.
Up G-Town.
I'm not sick of it yet.
Yeah, Berlin is unreal. But even saying, like, with the tolerance to heat, like even in London, man, like after summers, I might as well be in Barcelona. Like, I cannot hack over 24.
Right.
Like, and London gets to like 30 something in the summer.
Yeah,
but
I'm not good with the heat either.
No, but Berlin's class. I go to Berlin quite a bit, like just weeks of writing, and it's kind of like London. It's like a what is the term? Is it a mixing pot or melting pot?
Yeah.
Melting pot. Like it's its own mix of cultures. Like there's no such thing as like a classic Berliner or like Londoner. They're all from other places. Like,
it's kind of becoming the same everywhere now.
Yeah, I guess main cities are just kind of everyone is the same. Just a mix.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely important though to continually kind of change your environment, because you can become, especially in an industry like music, you know, you can get lost very easily, and you can become quite complacent. So I think it's very important to change your environment to grow.
Yeah, 100%. You can get stale. I find that sometimes I need to, like, writing trips, I love to just get out of London or come home for a while, because there is a time where, like, I'm hitting a plateau here where I need a change of
bit of writer's block,
space, scenery. Yeah, writer's block massively.
The only reason I'd move is like to meet new people.
Yeah.
But it's easy to say that, but then you land in this new place and you still have to make a big effort to meet new people. Like you're not just going to meet them on like nights out. Like that doesn't really happen. You have to actually like, you know, make a proper effort to go to different things, whether it's classes or whatnot, and actually try and meet people and build like friendships and stuff. So it's definitely not as easy as it sounds, but that would definitely be the only reason I think I would move anyways.
Yeah. I mean, like London is, you'll definitely meet people. There's no shortage of them.
There's a lot of them, I guess.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
Is. Like with music, like it's because you're meeting so many people every day, every room. So there's so many people. I feel like now it gets overwhelming. It's like I feel like I owe 100 people a pint. It's like, man, we should meet for that pint. I'm like, I know, and it gets too much. But yeah, there's definitely people.
Where's your sanctuary?
In London.
Just in general, like where do you go? Do you know, to wind down, to pull back?
Man, back to Kerry. Like
back to Kerry.
Do you know what? It's so funny when you grow up and it's like this town. There's nothing happening here. It's like you get sick of the quietness and there's nothing going on. Then you move to London and now it's like the most beautiful place I've ever been, and the nothingness is amazing again. Like I love that nothing's happening. It's so quiet. It's so beautiful, and it's like I have a different view on it now that I've gone to London. So whenever I go back home, really, it's just resets the soul.
Yeah, 100%. Sweet. I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah,
that was a really good episode.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on, Conor.
Oh, lads, pleasure. I feel like I'll just talk at you.